Competition authorities probe possible gas and petroleum price fixing. Richmond misses forecast and sees no upturn. Tata finalises the purchase of an extra 30% stake in Neotel, and the UK launches a second bank rescue plan. The all-share closed almost 2% lower at 20,623. Gold currently at $833 a fine ounce. A barrel of Brent at 43. The rand is at 10.09 to the dollar, 14.67 to the pound, and the euro at 13.27.
This program is brought to you by the leader in short-term insurance, providing tailor-made solutions for most of SA's top 100 companies. Santam. Rest insured.
David Shapiro is with us in the studio as always. Well, Hilton said it so quietly almost, another bank rescue plan in the United Kingdom. But Royal Bank of Scotland, for all intents and purposes, is now a state-owned company. It's now,
what's it, about 70%? Or
I think it's 70, and over 70%
over
anyway,
70%,
that they now that the government will own. And there are thoughts that they might have to go to 100% because they owe so much money that shareholders will be completely squeezed out. David, it's an amazing situation that amazing times we're living through.
I don't know. You ask what happened at those banks. I mean, where was the risk management? Where was management? How did they get into this situation? We understand the subprime issue, but I mean, they're just crumbling. What kind of risks did they take that they should be in such a bad position? Because it's not all banks. Most banks have come under pressure, but to this kind of extent.
Well, there were big knock-ons. You saw Royal Bank of Scotland's own share price down nearly 70% today. Lloyd's Bank was down 10%. There were some others like that. And here in South Africa, a drop of almost 4% in our financial index.
It comes through here. You saw Investec down, or Mutual down. We saw RMBH was down about 7.5%.
Is that just in sympathy?
It is in sympathy because, foreigners, local people watch what's happening in the rest of the world. I thought that we'd have some kind of rally today. I thought that there'd be an Obama rally ahead of his inauguration. The rally that we saw on Friday, which stopped 7 days of losses, it reversed 7 days of losses. I thought would follow through. We did in the morning, but then just lost it in the afternoon. But Alec, over and above that, you've got the UK contracting at 2.5%, its biggest decline since 1946. Europe declining 2%. So the economies are contracting. So it's very hard to get people into the market in that kind of mood.
David, I don't know if you watched the news coming out of opposition political parties, but the Democratic Alliance today accused the governing party in South Africa of acting like an ostrich, not being aware of what's going on in other parts of the world. Is that fair comment?
I would say so. I think because you would expect under the circumstances that they'd act a little more pragmatic and know what they have to do for this economy, because we're going to feel the pinch as well. Commodity prices are falling or have fallen, and demand's going to dry up. So it's going to hurt our economy enormously. And yet you've got them introducing or have a manifesto with very strong left-wing policies, increasing social grants and so on. And you'd also expect them to consolidate the economy at this stage and to also be aware of what's happening.
This is not the time to be generous.
No, not at all. It's a time really to to button down the hatches and start managing properly. We can't be frivolous.
It's interesting because almost in South Africa you get a sense of unrealism. What's happening in the United States and the UK, local people don't really understand the situation when a bank goes bust, or when people, when the government's got to move in, and it's not one bank, it's many banks, it's all the major banks in the US and the UK.
It's a whole banking system, it's a whole financial system is under stress.
And we're still carrying on in our own way. What would it take, do you think, to shake up people in this country?
I hope we don't get any problems here. But let's hypothetically say the one share that we've been under pressure has been Old Mutual. And I'm not, please, listeners mustn't suggest that there's anything wrong, but it would be something like that, because there were rumors at one stage that they were under pressure, and so I think it would be a fall in a bank like Old Mutual, which would need to be saved, that would actually shake us up to the reality. Now,
the other realities, David, that we seem to be ignoring, like the big BEE transactions that are way underwater. Somebody owes, I believe, 150 billion rand. That's owed by our banks, and that's just sitting there almost as a time bomb ticking away, and it's something that hasn't been dealt with.
No, it hasn't, and we can't get into it. We cannot get into those deals and understand them because they're so secretive. They're all on in vehicles that are parked outside of the banks, in structures that are very difficult to unwind. The only ones that we've seen are like the Imperial, Loreco, and there've been other deals that have had to be saved. But you're dead right. We don't know what
And
the
what is
liability
interesting-
But you're into a very sensitive area. And I think a lot of people have already spent the equity that hasn't been earned.
But the interesting thing as well is that after Polokwane, you have the people who were recipients of the benefits of those deals who are no longer in positions of favor. So, if you like, the new ANC is not really going to be wanting to bail out the guys who
No,
benefited
not at
because of
all.
the old ANC.
Oh,
So
because they-
we've got
yeah.
lots of interesting times ahead of us here in this country.
I'm
too.
surprised we've never really gone into it or seen anything on the deals. That no
Well,
one's investigated them
Well, we're
and
digging.
exposed them. Yeah.
You take Supergroup as an example. The BEE partners in Supergroup have basically lost all their money and then some. So they've lost whatever they had. And the Supergroup as well, Dave, do you think it can survive
Well,
this week even?
I don't know this week, but it depends heavily on motor sales. I'm not sure how they.
I was investigating it today, and I'll tell you a little story. Do you remember they concluded a rights issue in
very deep
October?
discount,
They came out with a statement on the 12th of December to say, oops, we didn't realize at the time we were telling you about the figures on the rights issue that there was another problem in Angola, and instead of making profits of 67 cents a share, which they used to raise the money, we're only going to make 11 cents a share this year.
From 67 to 11. Now, Alan Gray were behind.
And that's
people.
after
Did they
people have put
reduce-
their money in.
Did
no,
they
no,
reduce
no,
it?
this was after the money had been put in.
And they
it
made
was-
no adjustment.
It was,
or-
go and have a look in the Stock Exchange News Service, on the 12th of December, that announcement came out of Supergroup. Now, if you are a shareholder who just put a whole lot of money in, they better hope that they can survive through this, because if you go back to shareholders again and say, oh, by the way, we need more money, there's no way that they would come to the party
What about
again.
the people who underwrote it? There were the
That's
people.
my point, yeah.
Those were big institutions because no new people came in. Whatever they announced originally are those same shareholders who took the rights issue. No new share, because the share price fell way below the rights price.
Interesting developments, and those we will be watching. But on the JSE today, the market down about 2%. The American stock market is closed, so the real action is going to start tomorrow. The financial shares here down by just under 4%, and that was largely on problems in the UK.